Roxanne, hello.
Hi,
Hey, how are you?
good. You?
Good for, yeah, this time of day. Uh, and Thomas, hello, Thomas. Yeah.
Howdy.
All right, man, how you doing? Yeah. Dina,
I'm
hello.
doing good.
Good, Thomas, that's great. Thank you. Dina, how are you?
Good.
Good, okay. And Kathy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Okay, Jeannie. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, Jeannie?
Doing okay. However, is everybody doing?
Hey, everybody seems to be fine, and this is the first time I'm giving a class at this particular time, which is in Western Australia, in Perth, and it's 7 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, good morning.
In the morning, yes. You're probably 7 a.m., 7 p.m., aren't you?
Yeah, I'm 7 p.m. here.
Yeah. And I'm already on the 2nd of April. Okay. So you're still on April Fool's Day. Okay. So who's E. Brown? Eh? How about
Here I am.
there you are. Nice to see you.
All righty.
That's great. Okay.
Well, I'm in Detroit and we have snow.
Oh my goodness. What town are you in?
It snowed this morning. Well, it snowed last night after midnight.
Yeah.
But it's just about melted with the sun, but it's about 34 degrees.
Fahrenheit. Oh my goodness. Yesterday we were like just over 100 degrees Fahrenheit here.
Well, a couple of days ago we were 70 degrees.
Okay. Yeah. That's it. And just tell me again, in Brown, the town you live in.
I live in Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit. Okay. Nice to know where it's snowing and where it's hot. Yeah. So, is there anybody in class at the moment? We're still waiting for possibly one or two other people to come in, and but let me introduce you to. We've got Lester. You're going to be staying with us as a teacher assistant.
Yep.
Great.
Throughout the class, yeah. So if you guys have any questions, you can drop it down on the chat box so I can answer it for you. Okay. Enjoy.
Okay, that's super. So to everybody in the class, that's Lester. He's going to be an assistant here to me, and you type things. He will either collect the questions and give them to me at certain times during the class, or he will answer them yourself. If you have any technical problems as well with microphones or speakers, then he's here to help as well. It's something new that gets set up as introduced as a support for both you and myself. So yeah, and Lester, it's the first time I've had you, so welcome. Right, I think we should make a start. I'd like to know, just from some of you that are really up to it, what do you hope to get out of growing microgreens in this class particularly? So, hey, Thomas, you look like you're ready to answer.
I've never tried it,
Okay.
so I'm curious on doing it.
Okay, dead right. Okay. Who else has got their microphone on? Ebron, you've got your microphone on.
Supposedly that's supposed to be much more healthier for you. I'm a big gardener fan, but I've never done microgreens.
Okay.
Or I haven't done anything per se in the house. Pretty much everything is when the season is available. I do from May to October.
Okay. And you do that in the garden, do you?
Yes.
Yeah.
and I have quite a big garden. I do tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, onions, celery, cabbage, collard greens. I've even
Wow.
done corn. I'm going to try my hand at the first time for with potatoes. I want to try to do sweet potatoes and white potatoes.
Okay, okay, that's great. A good way to grow white potatoes is actually in a bag. Okay,
Really?
yeah, but another time, yeah,
Okay.
because you put the potatoes in the bag and you keep putting soil on top, and as they grow, you put more soil in the bag and more soil in the bag, and it grows up, and then you take them out from underneath.
Okay, I will try that. I'll do some research and try it.
Go to Pinterest and do some research on Pinterest.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. So Thomas, come on, tell me what you want out of this class.
Just basically to figure out what it's all about. I
Okay,
can't do a garden on the ground anymore, so I'm looking for a way to get it in the air, so you
right.
don't have to bend over.
Okay.
But I have
Okay.
no clue on what this is all about, so I'm about to learn something.
Yeah.
Great, great. I've been doing it for a number of years, so I've enjoyed it. And so I'm just sharing what I've learned. So hopefully, so who else wants to tell me what they do, why they're here?
I like them.
I don't, just unmute your microphone by pushing down the space bar on your device.
Oh, I don't really know anything about microgreens, and I try to do a little bit of gardening, but like Thomas, not so much in the ground because I just don't have a green thumb. But I try to do little things that are easier. So I'm hoping this is something easy that'll add something that I can add fresh to my my
Right.
diet foods.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Well, hopefully we're going to find out. Kathy, tell us why you're in class.
I didn't know if you're going to talk about herbs, but I get tired of going to the store and spending $3 to $5 on some herbs that I use in one recipe. So if that's part of it, that would be great. Be nice to
Okay, well, certainly you can microgreen with certain herbs as well. So I'll remember to touch on that as well. So Donna, what about you?
I'm just interested, and I live in New York City, so I don't have any outside space, and I do have plants. I love plants, and I've always lived with plants in my life, whether I lived here or not. And I'd like to keep, in the summer, I like to grow herbs in pots because I need to grow them in pots, but simple ones, and I use them for cooking, basil, thyme. I want to try chives maybe this time,
Okay,
or some other things. So I would be looking for that, but also I'm wondering if I can do microgreens, even little baby greens for
right,
salads and stuff indoors without a whole bunch of ancillary lighting.
right. Okay, we'll cover that too. That's great. Okay, thanks for sharing that. Jane, what about you?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how you said you can do broccoli. I just don't understand how you're going to do broccoli because it's a big vegetable. But you said that it was a microgreen, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So
Okay,
that's what fascinated me. I want to know how to do that.
okay, okay. What I would do is, if, I'm not sure where my photographs are. I'd have to go and find a broccoli microgreen photo, but it won't be in this class because I'm actually keep some of my pictures handy in a separate folder, I think. So I can access them for that. Anybody else like to share? We've got 11 people in the class, so anybody else would like to share why they're in the class before we start on growing microgreens? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we're going to work through slides. And you must just tell me when you can see the slide, either nod your head or wave or say hello. Thank you very much for nodding your head. I appreciate it. Okay, well, there we are. So we'll start moving forward on microgreens, but I Get Set Up like me to introduce myself formally. So you can see on the screen, my name is Michael Plumstead. And as I said earlier, I live in Perth in Western Australia, and it's just on 7 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my God.
So I'm up bright and early. It's the first time I've given a class at this time, but fortunately I do wake up early, so I'm usually awake around about 6 a.m. anyway. So that's just my nature. But then I go to bed earlier as well. So yeah, I love gardening, I love reading, love business, and I love being a guide in Get Set Up. So that's who I am. So a good place to start, because some of you already mentioned it, just here curious, because I don't know what microgreens are. So microgreens, they are young vegetables, okay? So they young broccoli, possibly, okay? And many, many other types of young vegetables, a young cabbage, okay? And as you can see from the image on your screen, they grow to about 5 to 10 centimeters. You don't use centimeters, inches. You use, so that you'll harvest them between 1 and 3 inches tall. Okay, and yeah, they depending on the seed, and we'll work through that during this class. So basically, they are just baby plants of the real big plants. You use the same seeds, okay, but we'll talk about seeds as well. And basically, microgreens fall somewhere between a sprout and a vegetable, okay? And but as somebody mentioned earlier, definitely they are immensely concentrated in nutrients, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the health benefits in this class. So just describing what is at the moment, their textures are very, the colors are beautiful, okay, and the taste is diverse, okay, and so that you get different types of microgreens. Now, they really, you can virtually, not all time, virtually turn any vegetable seed into and eat it as a microgreen, all right? I will touch on in the class, perhaps some that you won't, but basically, I've put them into the categories you see here, the 6 categories you see on your screen. And for myself, and because I'm just like you, I'm an everyday person, and I've called each category something that is easy for me to remember, because the technical categories are really long names. But that first grouping that you see there, starting with cauliflower on your screen, I call that the cabbage family, okay? And so each family has its own specialities or peculiarities as well, and tastes and colors and so forth. So we'll work into those as we talk about them. But very broadly, you get the 6 categories you see here. Lettuce, I call the aster family, okay? And where you've got dill and carrot, I call the carrot family. So you say, yes, you can grow carrot microgreens. They're difficult, okay? They don't, but there are many, many, many that are very easy, and I'll be touching on those for sure. If you're going to, well, I'm not saying if you're going to grow microgreens, when you grow microgreens, okay? And so yes, the almond family, that is like garlic and onions, and Then the green leafies, okay, you can see your green leafies there with spinach in it. So, and then lastly, the last family, or the sixth family, is the gourd family, the melon, microgreen melon, cucumber, squash. Now, I know that all looks very weird to a lot of you that have no idea what it is, but at the bottom line, it is a vegetable, okay? And it's not a sprout. So I'm sure a lot of you in your life have tried growing sprouts, and I'm sure it's been very successful. But you can see in the image the difference between a sprout and a microgreen. Now, the sprout, you would eat everything. You would eat the seed and the little stem or root that's coming out of it, okay? And with the microgreen, you would not eat the actual seed itself, okay? You would eat only the green section, okay? So, but we'll get into some more details there. So microgreens are grown in a medium of some description, okay? I grow mine in organic soil, organic seed soil, because it's very fine and it's been sieved. But you can grow them in other mediums. If you had to buy it from online, you could buy it as a kit, and not a bad place to start with is a kit. You might get ground up coconut shells to grow in. Other people develop mats that you can grow them in, and they all work. They'll all grow your microgreens. And so you will develop, like I have, a preference. I just prefer the organic soil, okay? And yes, it's possibly just a little bit, you get your hands dirty, but I like getting my hands dirty. I like the feel of the soil in my hands. I don't wear gloves when I use organic. So definitely you would grow them in a medium of some description, okay? And as you know, sprouts are not planted in soil. They're in a bottle. You wash them and then put them out to sprout, and you regularly put them in soil, and you keep them in a reasonably ventilated area as well. Light is an issue for both of them. So, but particularly in microgreens, we're talking microgreens now, that light, as in, if your house is very dark, then you would need to get a grow light, okay? And they're not expensive, and they work very well. But basically a windowsill where there is good light. It doesn't need sun. It can tolerate sun maybe for an hour or two, but certainly not longer than that, okay? So ventilation is also a concern with microgreens. You need, they need to be able to have breeze not flowing over them. They need to be in an open plan. So a windowsill is ideal. It's then got the rest of the room that it's going to breathe in. And although, as you can see on your screen, although you use the same seeds for both sprouts and microgreens, you actually grow many more seeds as microgreens than sprouts, okay? And so just keep that in mind, because we're not talking sprouts today. We're talking microgreens, and we're going to be focusing on some suggestions on microgreens. So why would you grow a microgreen? Okay, that for some of you have come here out of interest, just to chat about it. So, first of all, if you can't garden anymore, you can't bend, then microgreens are ideal, okay? Because you would be working on a table, and you'd be working, off the ground, okay? And of course you accommodate for yourself. So if you do have problems with your back, then you make sure the tables are are at a height that you can work easily with them. Okay, so you also have organic veggies on your doorstep. That's not your doorstep, but in your house, okay, 24/7. Okay, they're always there, and you work through a cycle of growing, and you're going to get the nutrients, but the most important thing is they are organic because you've grown them yourself. You're not going to put any fertilizers on or any insecticides on or any chemicals. Okay, you're going to grow them in a nice, clean environment. But it's natural in that the environment inside your home it's just a lovely, lovely environment, and you'll always succeed. You will always succeed, and there'll be some minor failures. We'll talk about those too. But the other reason to grow them, and I think probably for me the most important reason and why I grow them is because they are full of nutrients. They are full of nutrients, and that's not an overstatement. Okay, you can't overstate the nutrients, and we, as senior people, we need to keep our immune system healthy. Okay, to ward off the flus and the colds that come during the season. And in order to keep our immune system strong, we need to have our microbiome in our gut healthy, okay, and happy. And, we don't know from year to year whether we are absorbing the nutrients from our supplements or from our vegetables or from our meat. We actually don't know. We have good intentions of eating well, and I'm sure all of us do, but we don't know. Now, if you eat microgreens, if your gut is not, your microbiome is not healthy, the microgreens are going to get it healthy, okay? Especially if you do a variety of microgreens, okay? So keep that in mind. It's really super for people getting to the last 30 years of their life and so on, because you don't know what is slowly giving up in your gut. Okay, so it's a very practical way to get your nutrients, and a very good way and a very natural way to get them. Okay, and they're tasty. Okay, they really are tasty. They've all got different tastes, and some of them you won't like. And so that's going to be a trial and error for yourself, okay? Because you might like a sweeter taste, you might like a bitter taste, who knows, and so it's important to decide why you are going to grow for yourself. I love that English word why. If you're going to do something, have a reason to do it, okay? And certainly one of the most powerful reasons is the fact that it is healthy, okay? And your microgreens have, if you take what you see on your screen now, the polyphenols, your doctor will tell you, boy, if you must have your polyphenols because of this and that and that and that, and they're right, absolutely right. Okay, it's a very general term, and you get it in abundance in microgreens. Okay, so you will find, coming out of that sort of category, that microgreens are a rich source of vitamins, of minerals, of trace minerals, of enzymes, of antioxidants, chlorophyll, and you know what? Even protein. Now, how can you not go and grow microgreens when you've just heard that, okay? We need the health, and they are so digestible by your microbiome and your gut, okay, in general. Very, very easily, because they have everything together, like in one plant. Okay, you know, you have all these things that help digest. You know, somebody talked about broccoli now at the beginning of the class. You know, an ounce of broccoli, okay, of microgreen broccoli, is equivalent to 1.5 pounds of mature broccoli in nutrition. Okay, it's absolutely astounding. Okay, and I feel so sad that people don't know about it. Okay, so it's certainly one of the reasons that I suggested that we do this class, is so that we can get people aware of what is going on, with an easy way to get all your nutrients, and yeah, you know, so whether you eat or don't eat meat, that's immaterial. Okay, as long as you're having your microgreens will strengthen your stomach to digest your meat and your fish and whatever else you tend to eat. Okay, so you know what an example I gave with broccoli is generally all microgreens are at least minimum 4 times more nutritious than the full-grown plant. Okay, and in some cases they are 50 times more nutritious than the full-grown plant. Okay, so you don't need a tremendous amount. Okay, and you know, the other health benefits is that you can have your health all through the year. Okay, that's it, because you're growing them indoors, and you're not going to allow snow into your lounge. Okay, so you're going to keep your lounge into a warm state, and that's what the microgreens want. Okay, they want to be your companion in your house. So you see what's on your screen now. Okay,
Broccoli.
yes, you have a question. Okay, anybody? Maybe it's a good place to stop. Let's see. At the moment, we've been very general. We're going to get into some detail now. But are there any questions at the moment? Okay, and Lester, has anybody typed anything?
I have a question, please.
Yes. Please
Rosa.
go ahead.
Mhm. So growing the microgreens, I know it said balcony. What about if it's like outside on your deck and your deck is open?
Yeah, you know, it's about the temperature, basically. It will accept a variance in temperature, but you don't want freezing nights, and you don't want direct sunlight. Okay, but a balcony would be absolutely fine, and in fact, it's even maybe a preference, because it's going to get good light during the day, and but just be careful it doesn't get direct sunlight for 5 hours. You know, 1 hour is fine of direct sunlight, and but yes, you can certainly grow them. And you know, it's quite interesting with the balcony, because yeah, you can buy a sort of shelving that come out at an angle, and you know, you can put different trays on depending how many in your family and so on. But you don't want to overgrow if it's only for you as a single person. So balcony, great idea. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Start with any one of these seeds. Okay, but you know, through your choice, or you know, maybe advice from somebody online that is a professional as well, might decide, you know, they've got seeds in the kits that they sell. I buy microgreen, well, not microgreen seeds. I buy organic seeds online, as you can anywhere in the world, and certainly in North America. And you can just research, because you've got lots of options to buy from people. Just decide from going and looking at their website and that they are trustworthy, that they're not now there just to make a quick buck. And be careful, they haven't treated the seeds in order for them to last longer, which would be unhealthy in a microgreen. Okay, it's not unhealthy for full-grown vegetables. Or just about all seeds for full-grown vegetables are treated so that they grow well and strong and all the rest of it. And certainly don't look at any GMO seeds at all. Okay, regardless of what the salesman says. Mm-hmm. So you're looking for organic seed. You're looking for untreated seed, and there's plenty of it to buy, and it's cheaper online than it is if you go into your local shop and your local organic shop. So, but I mean, you can buy them from there, particularly to start with as well. Just make sure that, and they might give you advice about other seeds that in your environment, in your climate, grow quicker or more easily. Take their advice if you trust them. Okay, but generally speaking, these 8 seeds that you see here, coriander or cilantro, it's basically the same plant, just perhaps a different aspect of it, is a great source of fiber, for example. Okay, but not only fiber, it's a source of manganese, of iron, on magnesium. Okay. And the leaves are rich in vitamin C and vitamin K, actually, yeah. And they've got their proportion of protein as well. And then small sort of trace things like calcium and phosphorus and so on in small amounts, niacin as well, but in small amounts. But certainly they're a rich source of manganese, iron, and magnesium and fiber. But they've got a distinctive taste, right? And we'll talk about taste in this class a little bit later. And so there you see the one that's caused a bit of discussion today in class, the broccoli. Okay, and you know how healthy broccoli, the full-grown plant, is. Now just imagine these little fellows, because they've obviously got all the nutrients that the full-grown organic plant has. Okay, broccoli has, but just more concentrated. Okay, it hasn't opened out into a big plant and spread the nutrients into a larger area of the plant. Okay, so magnesium in broccoli, manganese, copper, zinc, all things that we need in the sort of quantities that microgreens are giving it to us in, and essential minerals in broccoli. Yeah, absolutely. And often we are, as adults in our senior years, we are lacking some of the things that the broccoli seeds give us, all right? The broccoli microgreens give us. So, yeah, and then of course, basil, okay? That's probably one of the biggest sources of protein. Proportionately wise is the basil. Okay, I heard an explanation.
Yeah, I did not know. Protein. Wow.
Yeah, but as well as it has vitamin E, got good quantities of and riboflavin and niacin. And what were the other ones? But it's really, vitamin A, of course. And then just about all of them with leaves have got vitamin C, okay? And a lot. This one has vitamin K and vitamin B6 as well. But it's also got calcium and magnesium and phosphorus and zinc and copper, all the things that we need, and magnesium. So all in the basil plant. Now, what I do is I grow microgreens like basil, for not all of them, just I'm talking about basil particularly. Then I allow a couple of the plants, the little microgreens, I transplant them into a pot.
Mhm.
And then I allow it to mature fully into a pot.
Mhm.
And then you've got a plant that, probably stands, I don't know, 1.5 foot tall or possibly 2 foot tall. We don't use feet here in Australia. So I got to think, is that about a foot, and double that. But yeah, and then I leave that in a sunny spot in my garage, in actual fact. And not a sunny spot. No, that's the wrong word. In a warm spot. And
Right.
just short of getting full sun. Okay. And
May I ask,
sure.
how do you use the microgreen? I call it basil here in America, and then in New York City. And that's how I grew up, as an Italian American calling it. How do you use the microgreens differently from the mature plant?
Okay. I will answer that, but I'm going, at the end of this class, I'm going to also show you ways of using. Okay.
Oh, great. Okay.
So we will look at that, because that's also an important question. That it really is. So but to answer your question now, I use microgreens all the same way. Okay. You basically eat them with your main meal. Okay. So you're either going to, basil, it's going to be a microgreen that is just a few, not a few inches, an inch or two tall, and you're going to eat it, or you're going to cook with it. Okay, you can cook basil microgreens, and or you just raw on top of your food. Okay, and it has a very distinct flavor, as does basil, the full-grown plant leaf. Okay, and
So a garnish, you're saying, like
yes, as a garnish, but also, almost like a supplement for the nutrients. And but yes, as a garnish. I also put it into, I have a jug of lemon water that I put fresh lemon into water every day. So my wife and I have got lemon water, and then we would put odd things in. Sometimes we put mint in, another day we'll put basil in. Okay. With the water as well, and then the water takes on the flavor, okay, of the basil. Okay. Anyway, but we will do some more about that. Right, then we've got everybody knows about chai, and if everybody's regarded chai as a superfood, so be it. Okay. I think every microgreen is a superfood, quite honestly. But who am I? Eh? Radish microgreens. I'm not going to go through all of them, but radishes, they really are easy to grow, and they have vitamin A, B, C, E, K. Okay, they have calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, zinc, all of them. All in this little radish. Okay, excuse me. Let me have a glass of water. Thank you. So yeah, and so you would go through all of these and decide various ways, and part of this class we're going to look at how you would choose things. The purpose of these 8 are easy to grow. They want to grow. Okay, seeds, they really, I mean, they want to sprout. That's why they were created. Okay, is in order to sprout and grow. And so you just mustn't get in their way by being overprotective and allow them to become what they inherently are. Okay, so why choose certain seeds? Okay, now this is getting to possibly what you might experiment with. Okay, because I've just put it into 3 categories, because they're my categories. Okay, and they my why I choose some of these things. First of all, microgreens for the crunch. Okay, now, I enjoy a bit of crunch because a lot of my microgreens I just eat raw. Okay, if almost as if you were going to have a salad before your meal. You might just have a small amount of microgreens, not the big plate of salad, but just a small amount of it. Or you put them on top of your salad if you're going to have a salad. Okay, but pea shoots. Okay, they taste just like a fresh pea out of the pod. Okay, absolutely amazing. And these little fellas, you'll see some pictures just now. I'm going to show you of the pea shoots. They also ever so slightly, I don't know, they're a little sweet, okay, but yet they're also like a little sour. I know it sounds ridiculous. You've just got to eat it to get your own description. But generally, I would call them sweet, okay, and they taste like the real pea as well. So that tells you something. And so you get all sorts of other, like the sunflower microgreen, also got a crunch, and the bean shoots have got a crunch. When I say a crunch, as opposed to, let's say, a broccoli shoot that it doesn't have a crunch. It's just a nice soft feeling in your mouth when you're talking about something like broccoli. Okay, and then you also for color, microgreens for color. Now, I'm sure you've all been to a restaurant where the chef there has become quite a theater actor, okay, by putting all sorts of colorful things in various places on your plate, and a strong flash of color like the purple basil, okay, or the red amaranth, or the red cabbage, or the rainbow chard, okay, and the oriental mustards. They all have these colors, and then you might choose them for their strong tastes. Okay, certain microgreens have the strong taste. Not all of them. I would say probably the majority don't, but certain have a very, very strong taste. And you can't miss those. And particularly when you're looking at the herbs that are grown into microgreens. Okay. Your cilantro has a very strong taste. Okay. But then so does the actual basil as well has a strong taste. Chives, fennel, sorrel, dill, and they all make beautiful microgreens. But they have a strong taste, and so you've got to experiment with maybe your supplier online in North America. I haven't actually seen it here in Australia, but I'm just thinking it would make sense if I was a supplier, is that I would give or sell little test packets of organic seeds so that people can actually get to taste them. So have a look. Maybe that is an option. I must also have a look at that, because I look in America. Whenever I search anything and Google decides that I've got to look in Australia, it's terrible. And but there are ways of getting around that one, I guess. Okay. All right. So there, the crunch and the color, and this is what you might be looking at. And so how to grow microgreens. Now, this is where we're getting down to the more practical side of things. Okay. Okay, I'm going to come and talk about this image in a minute. So you can grow microgreens in any type of container, okay? If you want to be fancy, you can buy a microgreen container, but you really, really don't have to. You can, any container that you might have sitting in the house. It could be even where you bought your meat or your vegetables in containers. They sell them here in Australia. Everything comes in some sort of little container, and you can just punch holes in the bottom of it and use that. The container is unimportant, and styrofoam boxes, you can use any of them. Where to grow your microgreens. Okay, I've said already, we've spoken about that. Grow them indoors on the floor in a well-lit area. You can grow them on a table. You can grow them on a windowsill. You can grow them on the balcony, as long as there's lots of fresh air and lots of light. And a little bit of sun is actually good. So, if they on the east side or the west side of the house and and they're going to get some sun, then as long as it's not too severe, okay. But an hour or two of sun just adds to the nutrient enhancement. Okay. Okay. So now this comes to the where to harvest. Now, with some of your microgreens, you can get a second harvest and even a third harvest on the same microgreens, okay, but not all of them, okay. And here, what you would do if you want a second harvest, most microgreens that have two leaves near the bottom of the plant, they're the first leaves that come up, okay, and then the stem grows, and then other leaves branch out depending on how tall you allow them to grow. You cut it just above the bottom leaves, okay, just above the bottom leaves. And yeah, I hope it's really, and it works. Some of the microgreens will the odd one in your tray might die off, okay, perhaps because it wasn't altogether healthy to start with, or maybe you used a bit of a blunt pair of scissors to cut them, or knife. It's got to be a very sharp cut, okay. And then, okay, but if you don't have a second one, then just throw the soil back to be reused in some type of bin or compost heap, preferably not a compost heap, I think, because it you've got then fresh leaves and things, so you've got to wait for all that to compost. But yeah, put it aside and reuse it, break it up, and you can reuse the soil again and again and again. And again, I say to you, and I say it often, is use certified organic seed, okay, or certified untreated with any sort of chemical poison, okay. Right. How to sow? Sorry, you got a question?
I do. When we do the cut, the bottom part of the microgreen, are we just throwing that away?
Oh, it's gonna
No.
grow.
You're going to regrow it. You're going to keep on watering it, and it will regrow.
Okay, leave it in the soil and it'll continue to grow.
And let it regrow. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. And it will, it'll take about the same length of time, maybe a little bit shorter than the original one that popped out of the soil. So depending on the seed, it might take another week to 10 days to be harvested again. And it's worth it, because especially if you're using it on the balcony somewhere, or it's not in your way, then you can just leave them. And we'll talk about watering now. Okay, so this, I take certain seeds and I soak them overnight, right? And the only reason I do that is just to enhance the whole process and make it a little bit quicker. But you do not have to soak, okay? I do, and I don't soak the tiny seeds like the alfalfa, for example, and I don't soak the chai seed. And I soak things like the flax seed, the pumpkin seed, and the bigger seeds, okay? Then I soak, and so, but you don't have to. They'll just take a little bit longer, an extra couple of days before you see them sprouting through the soil. Okay, so you get a container, any type of container, as long as it's got holes underneath. And the reason for holes underneath is in case you overwater. The water needs to drain out, and that soil needs to get back to a dry state underneath the seed. So fill up with soil, organic soil, pat it down, and then sprinkle your seed thickly over the soil surface. Okay. They can be touching, not at the end of the world, but not on top of each other, not half on top of each other. Rather err towards sprinkling them quite far apart from each other than on top of each other. Okay, because some of them are so small, it's so difficult to separate them when you've already sprinkled them. So you can use, for the small seeds, you can use a salt cellar, put them in there and use a salt cellar to put them on. I tend to put them on my hand and let them slide between my fingers, the small ones, and I keep control of that way. Okay, so whatever you do, you sprinkle them. Now comes, depending on what you're growing them in. Okay, if you bought a kit and it's got the coconut sort of soil, or it's a mat of some description, you would need to put that in darkness with a board. Put a board or put another tray on top of it that's got soil in it. The pressure doesn't matter. You can put another tray on top and another tray on top, and that'll create the darkness, and then put them in a cupboard somewhere. Because seeds like microgreen seeds like darkness in order to sprout. Okay, so I tend to use soil on top of the seeds. So what I do, I don't use a board. I then sprinkle soil on top of the seeds until you can't see the seed anymore. Okay, so the minimum amount of soil that you can sprinkle on so that you don't see the seeds. The seeds are now in darkness in the soil. Okay, then you don't have to put a board on top. And at this point, when you put the seeds in there, as I've said higher up there, and step 2 is water the seeds with a spray gun, some sort of domestic thing that you would spray, maybe to clean your windows with. You've got something then that sort of size where you put now good water. Doesn't matter what water, but if you've got filtered drinking water, then use that. Okay, and then spray it on the top. So you're only wetting the soil where the seeds are at the moment sitting, exactly where the seeds are sitting. Then you put it away to go in the darkness and sprout. And then once they start sprouting, you now take it out. They now need light. So if you see that 80% of them have already started coming out of the soil, take them out of the darkness. Okay, and then watering, you can definitely overwater, so be careful. Okay, you want to rather err on underwatering than overwatering. Seeds are hardy; they'll grow. But I usually just feel the seed, with my hand, the tips of my fingers. The top of the soil is dry. I then spray. And if that happens to be 3 times in a day, then I would do it 3 times in a day, because it's only spray and the water is just going to the seeds. That's all, not all the way through the soil. And but once they maybe a half an inch above the soil, usually once a day is more than enough. And you can give them a good spray, but you see, if you use a watering can, you could overwater them, even with a little. So just be aware. That's why you put the holes in. If you do overwater, don't despair, and you'll be okay, because it'll drain through and it'll dry out, depending on your environment and the season. It could dry out in a few hours in summer and a little bit longer in winter. Okay, harvesting them. I've already showed you that diagram. You would harvest them above. If you want to reharvest, if you want to have a thing that's going to keep going, you would harvest them above the first leaves. And you can see in some of these diagrams, these images here, where they're doing. But if you don't want to, or some seeds you can't get a second harvest, okay, then you harvest them above the soil level. Do not, and I say again, do not pull the whole microgreen out of the soil. Okay, you do not want to eat the seed. Okay, so you harvest above the soil level, and if you want another option, then you can, you want another harvest, then just be a little bit more careful. It'll be a bit higher that you're going to harvest them. Okay. When you're finished with the soil, as I said, throw it into a bin and you'll be able to reuse it. A compost bin is fine if you've got a compost, but you don't need a compost bin. You just need something to throw them in, break it all up, because the roots are now holding that soil together, and you want the roots to die so that it's going to be ready for the next plant. So you would break all the soil up, put it down there. Don't worry about the roots. They'll die off quickly, and they'll just add more nutrients to the soil itself. Storing microgreens, I don't know why one would want to store the microgreens, because you've got them handy, with you, right? They're there. Why cut them and now go and store them somewhere? Rather let them grow another half an inch while you're waiting to be able to use them. So don't go cutting to store. But if you do have to store, if you buy microgreens from your store, your organic microgreens from the store, then what you do is you take 2 pieces of wet paper and you put the microgreens between the 2 pieces of wet paper. Okay? And then you put that sandwich into a lockup bag, a sealed bag. Okay, and you leave any air that's in there, and you put it into the fridge. Okay, and that will be just as fresh in a week's time then. Okay, but you need that moisture in that bag, and so you need that damp. And then another important aspect: do not rinse your microgreens until you're almost about to eat them. Don't rinse them before you store them. Okay, don't rinse them a day before. Okay, rinse them in maybe an hour or 3 before you're going to eat them. Okay, and also you need to rinse them, because there might just be a little bit of soil attached in a small way. So rinsing them is important, and then they will dry very quickly before you eat them again. Okay, but if you rinse them the day before, they're going to become a little bit soggy. Okay. All right. So we're getting towards the end of the class here, and here's some ideas on how to eat your microgreens. Okay. And so, who doesn't love a pizza? Okay. Just imagine this pizza, perhaps made with a cauliflower base, which my wife does very well, and various ingredients in it. And you now add the microgreen, perhaps with a strong taste of microgreen on top of the pizza. What a lovely place to put your microgreens. Okay, and you can experiment. You can even cook with them in. Okay, you could definitely put some basil in and put it in the oven and cook it with the cheese and the pizza and so on. You see over here, a lovely way of getting your nutrients is in a drink, in a smoothie, or in a juice. And the ideal there would be wheatgrass and broccoli. That's a favorite throughout the world, is a combination of those two. They make a lovely taste together, and you can drink it as a juice or make it into a smoothie. And you can garnish anything. You garnish burgers with them, and you get curries and omelets. Okay, I just throw it in and I cook the omelets with them inside, and then I throw a few on the top when the omelet's finished. So there are all sorts of options. Now, what I must tell you, because I think we're on the hour already, and I'm sure some of you might want to go into another class, so I don't want to keep you necessarily. But here we've got a savory pancake with pea microgreens. Okay, so we've got a savory with a sweetish tasting microgreen on top of it, and so it works really well. And here we've got a roasted acorn squash salad, okay, with lots and lots of microgreens built into it, okay, and so that's a great way. Now, on the left side here, we've now got a dessert, okay. We've got a strawberry chocolate tart with pea. There, the pea microgreens on top. Okay. I personally haven't made it or eaten it, but I can imagine that it would be amazing. Okay. So you can put it also onto a dessert. And then, of course, we've got our spring salad there. Whatever is available now, you create a salad and you put microgreens galore on there. You get all your nutrients, and there are all sorts of salads. I mean, just look at that beautiful salad there, that rainbow salad, I call it. Okay, it's just absolutely amazing. And it's a bit of everything in there, okay, not only microgreens. Okay, and here on the right top, of course, we've got our soup, okay, and what a way to get your nutrients and the flavors of your microgreens, but in a soup, okay. So there's lots of, you know, the sunflower microgreens and the bean microgreens, and it's very satisfying, and you know, and that could be any type. It could be a broccoli soup, it could be an avocado soup. And then on the extreme left here, we've got a bittersweet salad, as you can see from the colors. So that anything goes that's bittersweet, and you put it together and have it as a salad. And then on the right bottom, you've got your roast beef tea sandwiches. I'm not sure if that's an American or whether it's a British thing, okay, but it appeals to me. Okay. So that's where we are. So if there are any questions still, I will take the questions. And you know, there's a lovely picture of a wild rice salad, okay, with lots of microgreens in that as well. Any other questions? Thank you very much indeed for being part of this class. And I look forward to seeing you again in the future, and have a great evening. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye. Go well. Okay, bye. Lester, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Michael.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Thanks,
Later.
man. Bye. Bye, Dina. Okay.
Bye.
Bye, Brown.
Good night.
Good night. No, good morning. You got to say good morning
Oh, yes,
to me.
good morning.
Bye.